get involved, and we need this to work for us in Africa, okay? We must all see OSH as a profitable investment. The moment, the state we are in right now in Africa, we see us at OSH as a cost center. The more we continue in that dimension, we can't do anything. We must see OSH as a profitable investment. Then we must think of OSH from the economic perspective. What are the things we have to gain? What is in for us? What do we protect and what do we gain? Is very important to start having this conversation. And in having this conversation or having this implementation, we need again a multi-level commitment and participation. We need the government, we need government to rise up to this occasion. We need CEOs, leadership of enterprises to rise up to this occasion, and we need employees to be fully participated in this. We need this tripartite deal to make this happen, okay? What are the current challenges we have in Africa? Inadequate OSH legislation system and structures that characterize our practices across Africa. We have inadequacy in skilled OSH and labor inspectors. As a matter of fact, we did a study some time ago. We realized virtually all the ministries of labor across Africa, you just employ people. This guy did geography, this guy did environmental science, this guy did urban and regional planning. They put them together in one room and give them ID card. That doesn't make them inspectors. We need to have inspectors who are inspectors in the right sense of it. We need people to get trained and be called inspectors. They need to know what they have to do. In the field today, inspectors are getting embarrassed because when an inspector that was not trained meets a smart health and safety officer, he will take that inspector to the cleaners. And I'm sure that guy will not want to come back to his job afterwards because it's an embarrassment to him. Do you understand? We need inspectors that will know their job because we train them before we send them to the field. Few institutions are available for training. In Africa, we have only few institutions available for occupational and safety training in Africa. We need more institutions, and let alone the ones that can train OSH inspectors. So these are some of the challenges we have. We have insufficient number of enforcement officers to regulate OSH. The next slide will be speaking more to this. They will have poor funding where available. Most times we don't even have funding for OSH inspection, for OSH inspection in Africa. So it's not something that's a priority. We've had cases where people go for OSH inspection and their fuel couldn't carry them back to the office. Do you understand? And this is one of the reasons that actually fuels what you call the brown envelope syndrome. When you're not giving all that you need to go and do inspection, you've been thrown into the field and you are forced to take bribe, isn't it? So this is what we're talking about. No standardization of codes and penalties and consequences. Then the absence of the needed motivation in OSH research in Africa. Little have been done in OSH research in Africa. We need more individual participation. What you cannot research, what you don't know, you can't fix. We need research to give us the right information for us to create interventions and possible mitigation. I need you to keep a closer look at this very slide. What we try to do with this slide was to look at population, OSH inspectors per country population. You can see Ghana. Ghana has 34.1 million people. You can see they have 50 inspectors. Look at my dear country, has 223.8 million. We have 720 inspectors. As a matter of fact, this just increased recently. It used to be 319 inspectors. You have Zambia there, 20.5, 13 inspectors from information we got. We have Botswana. You can see, if you look at this slide, it tells you a clear story that we need more inspectors in African countries. So we need to start speaking to our people on how we can have what you call a cultural change along this line. But you also see countries as Mozambique and Kenya. Here, they don't just have OSH inspectors, they have OSH inspectors, they have labor inspectors. So there are some countries that have both OSH inspectors and they also have what you call labor inspectors. If you see countries like Lesotho or Malawi, they have inspectors from Department of Labor and they have inspectors from mines. So it depends on how the country wants to, what favors them and how they want to practice. But it all boils down to the same thing. Training requirements is needed for factory inspectors. This cannot be overemphasized. But the truth is, what have we done? It is easier to look at the problem, but we are not saying we must overcome the problem in one day, but what are the efforts we have put in as OSH Africa in terms of improvement? We have set up a body called African OSH and Labor Inspectors Network. You know, this was a very strategic project that was set up by OSH Africa in 2020. It was launched in 2020, and currently it has close to 200 inspectors from 30 African countries, and its focus is training and competency improvement for OSH inspectors across Africa. We have also by this set up a partnership with Workplace Health Without Borders Canada, and we have since this partnership trained and certified 147 OSH inspectors from 21 African countries. I'm sure in this hall there are some inspectors we have trained. If you are one of such, can we see your hand up? Thank you so much. I can see Usher there. I saw a couple of them yesterday. Thank you so much. I can see that one there. So, I mean, we have done some work and ensure that we improve the competencies of OSH inspectors in Africa. Then we also been able to host international webinars focused on OSH and labor inspection. Other factors hindering these processes, we have what you call political interference in OSH enforcement. You've gone to a facility and you see a lot of infraction you want to correct. And maybe the best thing you could do is to actually give an abatement. And before you get home, you get a call that those people give us money when we're campaigning for election. Please go and open that company. So this doesn't help us. We need to change this status quo. Political interference is not helping us in enforcement. Insignificant penalties stipulated by law. This does not drive compliance. We need penalties that bite, and let it also help us in driving our compliance. Corruption among OSH enforcement agencies. I didn't say the corrupt ones are here. That's not my point. But we need to understand the fact that we also have corruption amongst the enforcement agencies. So we go to do inspection, and afterwards, one of the trainings we had, you send people for inspection. Afterwards, the people you went to inspect say, okay, can you just take this envelope? They tell you it's for your transport, but you pay for this job by government. And when you take that, the truth is that the moment you take that influences your objectivity. You can never be objective in your reporting, and whatever you see, you do it in their favor because they gave you something. We also have what we call weak and ailing judicial system. We need to get people to be in the court. For trial, for manslaughter, whatever happens. But when we have that, if you are one of such that take such people to court, and you find out that for 16 years your case is being tried, won't you leave the case alone? So we need to have what you call a proper judicial system for this thing to happen. Then poor level of OSH research again in Africa, as I mentioned earlier on. Then what are the recommendations that we feel will be necessary? One of such is we need to rethink OSH as a key economic development tool. We need to start looking at what does OSH really contribute, to our economy as a tool. Then improve political commitment towards OSH regulations and enforcement. We need that political commitment that will help us drive OSH regulation and enforcement. We need what we call improve OSH funding and trainings. We need our people to be trained and retrained to be better OSH inspectors. We need to employ more OSH inspectors and get them trained. You saw that slide earlier on. You saw the disparity between the number of people in the country and the number of OSH inspectors that we have. Disparity is too huge. We need to improve on this. Reviewing and improving existing OSH legislations. Where there are most of them that we saw, where there are the clauses are becoming inadequate, deficient. We need to improve the ones that have. The ones that don't have, we need to draft, adequate policies. Then reviewing OSH penal codes and more severity we need to get required. Encourage self-regulation. What this means, encourage organizations to self-audit their system. When organizations are able to self-audit their system through their safety committees and health and safety representative, it makes the work of an OSH inspector easier. So we need this to also happen. The OSH institutions should have ownership that is accountable. So we need accountability within the OSH institution. We need to get blood off the milling floor. We have spilled a lot of blood in the workplaces. We need less of blood to be spilled within the milling floor. As succinctly put by Albert Einstein said, the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. So you need to decide which part of the divide that you belong. Why do we need to talk? If we do not do something or speak up where necessary, the chain of pain could be too long. will put tears in the in the eyes of this woman whose only son was killed in the workplace. Will put tears in the eyes of this child whose father was killed in the workplace. Will put tears in the eyes of this family who all they have to live for was killed in the workplace. Will put tears in the eye of this man whose only daughter he had and his only hope for retirement was killed in the workplace. Will put tears in the eye of this woman who all she had to train through school with what she had left from her husband's retirement. We also have issues. This also. So for us to be able to do, more reason why we have to speak up or what should motivate you to do what is right, we need to reduce this chain of pain. Currently, today, the chain of pain is too long. And we must hold everyone accountable because there is a cry from a mother who just lost another child. Thank you very much.
Thank you very well, Dr. Eden. The third speaker for this afternoon is Mr. Norman Kosha. Mr. Norman Kosha is an OSH expert by Ouda Nepat from South Africa, and he tells us more about the necessary and the importance for business continuity plans after the COVID-19 pandemic. Ashby, please. Thank you. Thank you.
So, if you didn't see, I just bribed the program director to give me more time. Thank you very much. So, my name is Norman Koza. I'm the senior OSH specialist from African Union Development Agency. So, greetings from African Union. I am going to speak a little bit about business continuity plan. Looking into COVID-19 pandemics, but we are looking at, the future pandemics. I have, clever friends in my life. And these clever friends, I think some of them, we had a lot of debate. And some of them were saying, Vision Zero actually is unrealistic. Until I asked them, what margin of error do you think it will work now? And then said, no, we have to give margin of error. And said, okay, between 1, 2, 3, 4, if we're supposed to leave a margin of error, who of you actually can volunteer and say, I'm the first actually to die? And they said, no, we can't. So I said, okay, so Vision Zero, I think it's what we need. So basically, let me start. I'm not a business continuity specialist, but I am from the background of industrial hygienist. And I think it's very critical for us to have hygienists actually to participate in this conference as well. So I don't know how to, okay. Thank you very much. So problems and business challenges actually are with us. We cannot avoid them, we cannot run away from them. And also we know that economic and political challenges, in our continent, in global actually, I think they exist and they need, us to have the business continuity plan. When you have a business continuity plan, actually, that's where you have what we call, a resilience, recovery, and contingency, strategy to make sure that you protect it. So, even in terms of airborne diseases, actually, we need that to make sure that we safeguard our businesses. Sometimes it can be confusing when we are talking about business continuity and also disaster recovery, but they are all almost the same. They are proactive strategy in nature, and they are all used to sort of like protect us from both ecologically and also man-made disasters. They are very important. They are very instrumental in preparing us for pandemics, natural disasters, wildfires, IT, even though today we are going to speak about pandemics most of the time. So both requires, they always require to be reviewed to align to business strategy. And it's important for us to highlight that in bold so that, we understand that, revision, because this is a continuous development. It's not like, a static, program. So just to distinguish between the two, I think, the other one, we are looking at recovery, and the other one, as the name, suggests, we're looking at continuity in that area. And that is the process. I'm not going to talk about it. I think, people who are here, they understand, the process of how to develop, a business continuity plan. So I'm not going to dwell on that. But what's important, he was talking about legislations. So when you develop, the business continuity plan, these are some of the documents and principles that one has to consider as we are developing them. The national constitutions, you need to look at, your human rights, sections in your constitution, national, municipality, county or district systems and financial management, laws, you have to consider them, what they say, national social security and regulations, also disaster management laws and regulations, occupational health and safety, and so on. We have to look at that. But also we have got what we call standards and best practice, which we can use to anchor our business continuity plan. And I think this is very important. I've listed a number of them, which are very critical actually for, and I think these is not exhaustive. There are more actually that you can consider in that area. But I just listed few of them in the slide, because it's risk assessment, it's, risk management, it covers all those kind of things. But this is the business continuity management response. I think what's critical here is we need to stay in the pre-incident, That's what we're trying to do most of the time. But at times, life, is unpredictable. Something can happen. If you come to the diagram that I'm showing there, it's unfortunately I'm sitting here, I can't even point, I wish I could point from here to show you. So pre-incident is a critical and most important stage, and especially for airborne, diseases, I'm talking about, COVID-19, I'm talking about TB, I'm talking about any other airborne diseases that you can find in the workplace. So what is critical in airborne actually is the ventilation, and especially, measurement of carbon monoxide. I've got experts here that, you can talk to. We brought, SIO, we brought, Green Flag Association as well. You can speak to. They're sitting at the back. So carbon monoxide monitoring, and since we came here yesterday, we've been monitoring inside, with colleagues. He came with equipment. We measured, even the carbon monoxide inside this room to see how we are complying in terms of, ventilation within there. And I don't have time. I was going to ask colleagues to give us results in terms of how compliant are we in this room, actually. But believe you me, the air inside, this room, mostly in terms of PM10, is better than the air outside. You won't believe me, but that's what we've observed yesterday. So collaborative efforts are also critical in this stage. Since I said that, I think it's high time that we need to see also occupational hygienists participating in these Vision Zero activities as well. We need to look at that. A uniform risk rating for business continuity and health and safety is critical. I think sometimes when we do the business risk assessment versus the operational risk assessment, you find that the criteria and rating, they differ most of the time. And we need to make sure that we harmonize them in that area. So when it comes and when we are fighting, airborne, pandemics, I think there are critical terminologies that we need to understand. One is pathogenicity. We need to understand that, which is the ability of an agent to cause a disease or critical system, symptoms, in that area. And this is measured by, infection rate, how many infections, I think we're doing that. Then the virulence also, I think, is a critical, before we can panic, we need to understand, the virulence, ability of an agent to cause severe diseases, These, we measure it by case fatality. Those are the terminology that and viability is one of the terminology that we need to understand as business continuity specialists as well, in terms of how long does it take actually for a disease to stay in its surface until it can die or reproduce and cause problem. And for that reason, if we have closed the office for like a month and the viability of the disease is 14 days or it's 5 days, why should we deep clean the office or the room after that? Because we know, it's a waste of time. Some of the measures that we did when we were doing COVID-19 was spray booth, and I remember in my organizations, the CEO called me and said, we want to buy a spray booth so that people can go through. I said, no, you can't buy it. And they say, why? I said, because COVID is inside me. You dip me inside the ocean. When I come out of the water and cough, I spread it. So whether you dip me, whatever, it won't help you. So I think those were some of the discussions that we have. But I think the most important, issue that I wanted to highlight was, the lack of understanding, in terms of how the diseases, are spreading. I think most of the time we use science to protect, our careers, not to protect the people. I think that's a problem that we do. And I think we need to shift from that to protecting people in that area. I won't go in details because I know that I'm standing, between you and also the pleasure, which is the cruise that is waiting for us outside. So, but the most important is that, the main transmission of COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 was through, the air, which is air transmission. And I think we failed to understand it when the COVID-19 started. There was a lot of debate. Some of you actually were part of the scientific community that were challenging WHO in that area, and we need to understand. So this is what I'm trying to say. When we cough, there are different numbers of droplets that you cough. Some are big, some are small. And the smaller particles, they stay in the air for quite some time. If I cough here and then it stays here for a long time, whoever passes here can breathe in. The bigger droplets, they fall down. And yet, when we were responding to COVID-19, we were looking mostly to the bigger droplets and say, don't touch surfaces, don't shake hands, don't do 1, 2, 3, forgetting that, when you cough and speak and some people move in this environment, that's where you get, the problem in that area. So we need to safeguard that. The biggest, problem was, the unventilated, and crowded areas. I think we need, even as we are moving, into other pandemics or TB, whatever, and stuff like that, we need to take that in cognizance. Even in our business continuity plan, we need to make sure that we factor for that and do measurements. So this is one of, criteria. I won't go through it. One of the principles that we use in Green Flag. But when we use ventilation and also measuring, carbon dioxide, we've got lots of standards that we're using. As you can see that, in terms of the ranges, WHO's recommendations, it's 1,000, parts per million, which we've been measuring in this auditorium since we came here. And we have got some of, results of what's happening. But I think, even though the WHO, actually, I think it's overstretched, using research, actually, I think the safest zone, actually, is where you have at least, 800 parts per million in a room like this one. Then you're safe. So if you've got people who are working in a closed environment, then you need to make sure that, the carbon dioxide does not exceed at least 800, parts per million in that area as well. So as I conclude, when we look at, the business continuity plan, what is important is we need to make sure that we consider everyone when you're doing, the business continuity plan. And especially when we're doing the risk assessment as well and ranking, we need to make sure that even the least person in that environment is factored. Business plan is not a standalone program, but an integrated program into the business, strategy. So make sure, we also need to make sure that we don't do, duplication. Do risk assessment, for ventilation, for ergonomics, for occupational hygiene, for whatever, because all these aspects actually is just making us, so we can work and integrate everything and work together in that area. COVID-19 pandemic sanitized, even a lot of, organization in terms of lack of business plan. A survey that was done by Mensa actually found out that, about 51% of the organizations, they didn't have business plan globally, But, we are seeing changes in that area. Business risk and operational risk rating, actually, they should be harmonized as I've made. If someone is exposed to dust or noise, the operational, the business, risk assessment, they will rate that person or that risk very low. Because firstly, when you are exposed to noise, you are not going to shut the company, you are not going to make the company lose money, But that risk actually is transferred to the employee, because the employee will develop noise-induced hearing loss after that, or silicosis, whatever, and stuff like that, and then the family is suffering in that area. So, colleagues, thank you very much. I've got lots of goodies there, and the colleagues sitting there, they've got lots of goodies. You can go talk to them in terms of ventilation and occupational hygiene. Thank you.
Yes, so we are coming closer to the end. First of all, thank you to Mr. Murph.
Are you ready to shape a safer future? Introducing the Vision Zero initiative, your pathway to zero accidents and occupational diseases by 2030. It is time to unveil the prescription for success, the 7 golden rules of safety. Number 1. Prioritize leadership, because a strong safety culture starts from the top. Number 2, identify hazards. Spotting danger before they strike is our key to prevention. Number 3, define goals. Setting clear goals gets us on track to achieving zero. Number 4, ensure a safe and healthy system. By designing foolproof processes, we pave a way for a safer environment. Number 5, ensure safety and health in machines, equipment, and workplaces. Number 6, improve qualifications. Continuous training sharpens our skills, making safety second nature. And finally, number 7, invest in people, because a well-informed workforce is a safer workforce. Join us on September 7th and 8th, 2023 at the AVANI Hotel in Livingstone, Zambia for the International Vision Zero Conference. Join the Vision Zero initiative. Register today at zambiaivzc.com and make safety your priority. Let's achieve zero accidents and occupational diseases by 2030. Workers' Compensation Fund Control Board. Prevention, care, support.
MC is around?
I'm here.
Ah, great. That is the function that we're going to go into now. Maybe you could take it up, Mr. Shushi.
Thank you, George.
Thank you so much.
At this point, I'm quickly going to call upon a board chairman from Workers' Compensation Fund, of course, Mr. Emmanuel Mbambiko. I'm also going to call upon the Commissioner and CEO, Mr. Patrick Sempwili, as well as the Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Labour.
My father works at an oil refinery company. His work makes vehicles and planes move. He works very hard to make sure that I go to school. He is...
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 gentlemen you see in front of you are going to help us giving out these appreciation gifts to people who have played, of course, a pivotal role at this conference this couple of days. We'll be calling out names in groups, and when I do, please come through. And of course, you will come and shake hands here and receive your gifts. So thank you. We'll try and go through this as quickly as possible. I'm seeing the time. We've got 8 minutes left. So I'm going to start by calling Professor Karl-Heinz Nortel,
My
Dr.
father works
Elizabeth
at an
Nkumbula,
oil refinery company.
Dr. Eri Edem, Mr. Elmert Enz, and Dr. Klaus Ruther Frisk to join us right here. Yes, right here. Thank you. May I also please have Ms. Sigrid Roth, Ms. Mireya Rifa, and Mr. Felix Sikaonga. So, just for clarification, these are gifts that are being handed over to all the names that I'm calling out, ladies and gentlemen. That's basically it. So these are the gifts, and the permanent secretary and the commissioner, and of course the board chair are the ones basically handing over the gifts. So the names I'm calling are the recipients of the gifts, including you. I know you're standing there. You're a man of action. You're receiving the gift. Thank you. Shall we give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Please take your seats after that. That's all. And then I'll call the next group. Mr. Alex Kakuku, Dr. Mark Fullman, Honorable Hakeem Dixon, Mr. Burns Mills as well. Mr. Michael Kurz, Mr. Jacob Court, and Mr. Rai Rabaud as well, please. Mr. Kai Rabaud, rather. Thank you. Mr. Jens Yuri Lutz, Dr. Anthony Omuna, Mrs. Stella Mwale, Dr. Alex Morales, Ms. Peniel Tao, Mr. Norman Koza, Mr. Bernd Reichel, Mr. Eustace Nshanzi, Mr. Mark Kunda, Ms. Petra Jakish, Dr. Klaus Schaefer, Dr. Jens Juling, and Mr. Fabrice Mio as well. Mr. Bernd Treichel as well. Is there any speaker that might have been left off the list before we wrap up, please? I believe not. Going once? Going twice? I thought there might have been maybe one name omitted, but I think this is the comprehensive list that's given. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I am obviously trying to stick to the time. We just have a minute or two. I'm going to ask the Commissioner and CEO and Board Chair to take a seat, but I'm going to ask the PS to remain with me for a second. I would like to call upon the Acting Permanent Secretary just to give us a few closing remarks, and then we wrap up. All presentations, by the way, will be available to download from basically the Workers' Compensation Fund Facebook and conference website. Those of you who'd like to see all the presentations, they'll be available for download.
Okay. I want to promise that my closing remarks will be very brief, considering that the boat cruise here is like the airline. If you miss by just a minute, then you will not be part. However, it is very important, we cannot take it for granted that we just disperse like this. So first and foremost, I wish to recognize the presence of all the superiors who are here, both from government and non-governmental state actors, the speakers who have done a very great job in terms of facilitation. I just want to say this. This Vision Zero International Conference, which has been held here in Zambia, it is historical for us, and it's coincidental, because today, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia was officially opening Parliament for the third session, and one of the issues which he highlighted was the fact that compliance will not be compromised. Particularly, you may wish to know, colleagues, that one of the serious decisions that government has made is to bring back one of the major investors in the mining sector, Vedata. And in that regard, the President has indicated that compliance, not only in the mining sector, but all sectors across. So for us, we are saying this conference, which we are closing today, is a very good coincidence. And it gives us impetus as inspectors to ensure that we do not compromise. Because if you lose one employee, then it means productivity is adversely affected. I am delighted to give these closing remarks on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Labor and Social Security, who was here with us yesterday to accompany the Vice President who officially opened this very historical conference. She would have loved to be here, of course, but like I said earlier on, today the President was officially opening Parliament, so she had to be with the counterparts in Lusaka. I would like to express my appreciation to the speakers and for their valuable contribution to our 2 days. This will go into our history. My deepest gratitude goes to all who attended the conference, colleagues, and helped to make it such a successful event. Like it was said, in the next 2 years we'll all be going to Uganda, and we are told all the faces which are here should find themselves in Uganda. So Uganda, you can be rest assured that already the 501 plus delegates will be there, because all these who are here, they'll be there. Dear colleagues, the importance of safety and health in our countries cannot be overemphasized. We have heard from the various distinguished speakers from the first day to today I just want to emphasize what Her Honor the Vice President stated. The best practices which our colleagues are doing, we should not reinvent the wheel. It is not like at school where you are writing a test that don't copy from your friend. No. Here, if your colleagues are doing well in the neighboring countries, get that. What we want are the nations to benefit, instead of them again hiring consultants when our colleagues already did that. I thought that was a very important point which we need to all take on board. So as Zambia will not be shy to learn from you colleagues who are doing well. In the same manner, don't be shy to learn from us in the areas you feel we are doing well. A wealth of experiences, best practices, standards, and information have been shared during this Vision Zero conference. So, like we said, we have spent resources to host such. These resources, we expect our citizens to benefit. How do they benefit? Whatever we have learned, we should put this into practice. It is not just a conference you attend, then you go back. No. The major lessons learned here, we expect each one of us to start now implementing this. When we go to Uganda, we should look back. We were in Livingstone in Zambia. What are the lessons? Where have we moved? Because if we're at the same stage or we are going backwards, we can as well say then we should stop having such conferences because it's a sheer waste of resources. And I do not expect any one of us to find themselves in such a situation. As a Zambia, we say no. And I want to believe Uganda, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, they also say no. Because these are public resources. Whatever we do should benefit our citizens. We have seen, I'll be concluding now, I know people are looking at their watches, fearing of the boat cruise. We have seen that a lot has been done and yet a lot still remains to be done, and therefore I implore upon everyone here to continue with this same spirit that has been exhibited as you go back home. In fact, this point cannot be overemphasized. For us as Zambia, beginning next week, we'll meet to have a post-mortem first of this event, lessons learned, how do we integrate them in whatever we are doing, and we'll be able to share with you all colleagues. Thank you once again for your participation and support. It was a pleasure to share this event with you. You have made this event a success with enthusiasm and insights. I wish now to declare this very historical workshop officially closed. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, very quickly, if you can see the QR code there, you scan that, you'll be able to then download your presentations. Also, because we've been streaming this via Facebook and YouTube, if you want to watch the proceedings again, just search for Love Safety. That's all. Was going to go on and on a little bit to say goodbye to everyone, but you know, we have to go. All I can say is I wish you all well and success, and thank you for giving us this opportunity. Please return to your respective countries safely. Have a wonderful weekend, and God bless all of you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you in Uganda. Thank you.
Kose kaze kali